Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar Elm, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Isha Kamara, the visionary founder of Breaking the Ice, an ecosystem development firm headquartered in Clinton, Maryland. Isha is deeply committed to empowering Black entrepreneurs by bridging access to resources, global networks, and strategic coaching for founders across the US, Africa, and the Caribbean. Through tailored events, mentorship programs, and business consulting, Breaking the Ice is dismantling systematic barriers and building a truly inclusive entrepreneurial ecosystem. Isha, welcome to Founder Future.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you. I always like to start from the beginning. So, can you take us back to before you started breaking the ice? What were you doing at that time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the company?
Before I started working at Breaking the Ice, I was working for entrepreneur support organizations. So basically, companies and nonprofits that give some type of resource to entrepreneurs so that
Mm.
their businesses can scale and thrive. At the time where I started the business, I was working at the University of Maryland College Park in the Dingman Center for Entrepreneurship, and I was helping students work on their venture. But before then, I was working on a program called Black in Business for Goldman Sachs. And a lot of the time, I would be interviewing these women or on the phone with these women, helping them get their things together for the program. And they would also pick my brain for things that weren't necessarily aligned with the program, things that they needed for their business. I had my own business back in college and I put it on pause once I graduated and started working. And I realized talking to these women and going through my own entrepreneurial journey when I was in college, a lot of the problems that these Black founders are facing are so preventable if these founders had the right support and right ecosystem behind them. So it came about, okay, I've worked in the ecosystem, I'm working for these organizations. What more can I do to create this inclusive environment for Black founders to be successful?
Very cool. And what were some of the problems that you found that were easily preventable?
So, some of the problems I found were things such as lack to capital and funding. So, Black founders receive less than 1% of VC funding, but there's a lots of others access to funding. There are loans from CDFIs, there are grants, there's recoverable grants. There's all types of things that founders can use. And another thing I see is a lack of business education or mentorship. A lot of entrepreneurs will say, I don't have my MBA. And I don't think it's at all necessarily to have an MBA or even a business degree at all to run a business, but at least having some of that education and that mentorship or advice and guidance from experts in the field at least helps entrepreneurs feel a little bit more confident and empowered in the work that they're
Mhm.
doing.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think you necessarily need an MBA or a business degree. We're so lucky to be living in today's world because you have so much access to information just literally online for free that it's fantastic. But the close mentorship is pivotal. So help us understand, help the listeners understand breaking the ice. Who is your ideal customer? Who do you want to be working with? And then what are the different offers and services that you provide?
So I break down my ideal customer into three target demographics based on age. The first one would be students, so that age of probably, let's say, middle school. So I think that starts around like maybe around 12-ish, all the way into 25 to where you're probably finishing your master's or you're just a few years out of your undergraduate degree. Those are people who usually have their ideas. They need that mentorship to get them started and get those connections into the ecosystem so that they can really grow their business. They also need help developing that mindset to see themselves as an entrepreneur and understand that they are making impact on their community. Then from there, I also love to work with professionals. I age them 25 through 50. They may have a full-time job and be working on their business and in trying to plan their life to see how they can exit that job and go into their full-time business. I'm more so connecting them with resources and them to access to capital so that they can have the capital to run operations and expand their business, maybe hire someone on their team so they can get more done. And that last demographic would be people who I would say are 50 plus, are seasoned entrepreneurs who may be looking to have their business sold or acquired soon. So they may be looking for people to be under them for apprenticeship to learn the skills of their business, or they may be trying to pass their business off. So just working with them so that they feel comfortable in planning and succeeding their business.
Got it. So it seems like there's a lot of things going on here. The mentorship piece, the guidance piece, the mindset piece with the students. Then you've got the resources and then access to capital to the professionals, and then the seasoned entrepreneurs, some sort of exit planning, succession planning for their companies. So walk us through what is your core offering? Because typically what I find, especially with consulting firms, is one offer is normally responsible for 80% of the business, right? So can you break down your offers for me so that the listeners can get more understanding? And then we can dive deep into the main bulk of the company.
Well, I would say it really depends on what industry the company coming into me with. But I would say so far I've done a lot of work within youth development, and that may look like helping create a curriculum for whatever you may be teaching the students in your program, coming up with workshops, maybe helping with college tours, things of that nature is things I've done. I do a lot of help with getting ready for access to capital, whether that be finding a way for you to get capital. For example, I help one entrepreneur host a wellness and entrepreneur resource fair that's annual, and I'll help her find sponsors for the events or resource partners that will come and share resources about their access to capital with people who come to their event. So it really just depends, but I would say my main thing is really just the consulting and helping entrepreneurs. I like to call it ecosystem mapping, and capacity building as my main two things because I'm helping to connect entrepreneurs to the different resources and different players in their community, whether
Yeah.
it be a funder or an accelerator program or it be a local university for all the resources that universities have, just really making sure that I'm being that plug to connect all the dots there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So let's say you have an entrepreneur in front of you who is interested in working with you along those lines with the access to capital and resources and whatnot. What does that typical client engagement look like? How long are we working together? What are the deliverables? Walk me through that process from start to finish and start being they signed up to work with you.
Yeah, so I would say initially we'll probably hop on a call. We're iron out a lot of details about your business. I'll see what stage you're at and where your goals are for the next couple. It really depends on the entrepreneur. I like to work in timeline basis. So 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. So it really depends on what the entrepreneur needs. For example, an entrepreneur that I may be helping with a wide scale event or programming with youth, because you have to actually implement the change and implement the processes, and you have
Yeah.
to make changes, and you actually have to see the impact of the program. That may take a year of me going in, meeting with the client, meeting with whoever they're engaged with, me coming up with lessons and workshops, things of that nature. But if I'm working with a client who may just need funding, that may be a little bit more short term. I may need to speak with them about what their needs are, plug them into that funding need that they have, and then continue to check on in on them to see if they have further needs and how that funding was leveraged by them.
Got it. Okay, so it sounds like it's very customized depending on what the individual needs.
Yeah, so
Here,
the whole purpose of breaking the ice, it is an ecosystem development firm, but I like to think of myself as a friend or a fractional employee of a nonprofit or of a bit small business, because a founder really can't do everything on their own. And we all know that founders are so used to doing everything on their own that they're not used to asking for help. So it's really just about what can I do to help you succeed as a business if it's in my capacity. My projects can really vary based on who the business is.
very interesting. I'm super curious. When you think of a scalability, when you think about the fulfillment model from a scalability perspective, do you feel like having everything be custom tailored hinders you in terms of caps the ceiling on how big the business can grow?
Yeah, and I know I would say that is probably one of the challenges I have. It would be easy if, for example, let's say I was just teaching people based on the lean canvas model or the business canvas model, and I did like a 3-month program, and by the end of it, you got to take that home, and that's your business plan for the next 5 years. That'd be easy because you're just training on certain skills. While when you're doing different projects, things look differently. No one day with a client is the same. And I wouldn't say it's harder to keep track because I like the mess and the chaos. I like doing a billion and one things. It keeps me active, it keeps me going. But it's not the easiest thing to keep track of when everybody is on a different thing, doing different things. And it can be easy to burn out at some time. So it's good to keep a balance and not overwhelm yourself with the amount of projects that you are working on.
Have you thought about potentially adjusting the fulfillment model in order to make it more scalable, but also to avoid the burnout?
Yeah, so one thing I really have been trying to work on is narrowing packages for my clients. So I create a package of the services offerings that I have for you, and that is on a sliding scale. So a business that may be just starting off, be under a year and have one employee will be paying a different price than a business that's been around for 10 years and maybe have 15 employees. So that's something that I've been thinking about because that kind of helps because I know what I'm offering in the packages. I can add on a la carte pieces if I want to, but it's more so focusing on okay, I've already selected that these are the things I'm going to be doing here.
Yeah, got it. Very interesting. Now, let's shift over to the back end of the business. When it comes to lead generation and acquiring more customers, what does that process look like for you?
I would say about a year ago, the process was really different. I was working and I had a lead generator on my team. I live in the DC area, so I live in Prince George's County, Maryland, but I'm also find myself frequently in the Baltimore areas as well. So I like to say that I'm more so the DMV Baltimore area. So what I did is I looked through a lot of entrepreneur support organizations in the area. And I decided to just reach out to them, have conversations, and see where that leads. It did lead to some partnerships that was really helpful. And then having those partnerships, entrepreneurs are able to find you and have trust in you. I also am able to really leverage LinkedIn in terms of leads and really reach out to a lot of small business owners and start conversations that way. Another really big thing, and I think that has really been helpful for me, is leveraging conferences where entrepreneurs are there looking for resources anyways and are looking to learn, looking to network, looking to chat, probably looking for someone who can help take their business to the next level. It's really easy to find leads in those type of environments as well.
What have you found to be the most effective form of lead generation?
I would say LinkedIn, but in-person events when I'm at conferences and I'm signing up and going to entrepreneur networking events, those are really have been really great.
Okay, very cool. Something that I talk about a lot on this podcast is the idea of building a predictable lead generation machine. Having something that's like a faucet where you can turn it on, turn it off, and typically that boils down to either some sort of paid media or some sort of systematic cold outreach approach. When you think about building predictability into your lead generation process, are there any things that you are planning on doing, initiatives that you're planning on exploring to bring on more leads to your business?
Yeah, so I plan on really leveraging LinkedIn Business a little bit more, LinkedIn Business Premium, and really seeing where that can take my business in terms of being able to message businesses and message small business owners and executive directors of nonprofits, but also really leveraging email marketing as well. That's a really good way to keep your audience really engaged with what you're doing and seeing what you're doing. Frequently getting signups for that newsletter and churning people. I think that is like one solid way that I'm thinking to really implement in the future. And I'm thinking about going back to also hiring a leads generator because I think that it was extremely helpful when I had my leads generator working with me. She had a system and Excel sheets and everything. She was just brilliant.
Yeah. What was she doing specifically to generate leads?
She was leveraging LinkedIn. I don't know exactly her exact methods of what she was using. She was using other tools. I can't remember all the names of everything that she was using. But when she was done going through leads and like finding people, she would also send very personalized messages. When you first send out an invite, you can do that with LinkedIn. And that would get a lot of people to connect back with me and I would just follow up with them and have a meeting with them and see where conversations from there goes. But I can't remember the exact names of the systems that she was using to then create Excel sheets of all of the conversations that she thinks I should have and people she thinks I should connect to.
Got it. I'm super curious. I forgot to ask this. How do you monetize? Is this like an upfront fee? Is this a percentage based off of what you can help them with? Performance based? What does that look like?
It's different by the business because, like I said, I try to be scalable based on the point of where the business is. For some businesses, it really is just an hourly rate of you're paying me what my hourly rate is, and I'm doing a certain amount of hours a week for you. For some clients, it may be that we have an event, and at the end of the event, after ticket sales, after everyone for the event is paid, then I get a percentage of what's left of the event. So it really depends on what the business needs are and what the offering I'm offering to them at the moment is.
Have you thought about doing like a package that is higher ticket that is upfront? Is that something that you've explored at all?
I've explored that, and especially with me doing kind of my work on timeline basis for some businesses with that 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months ordeal. It makes it easier because it's okay if we're working for the next 3 months, this is your rate that I'm giving you for 3 months, and this is how you'll pay it. If you're working with me for 6 months because it's a little bit longer, it's a reduced price, but this is how much you'll be paying for the 6 months. So I do have all those packages and things worked out.
Okay, got it. Got it. That makes perfect sense. Because in my experience, from working with consultants and speaking with them, it helps to have those higher ticket packages because surprisingly, less options is actually better for the business in terms of the services that you provide. But I'm curious, what does your sales process look like? So let's say somebody comes in as a lead. What are the different steps in the process for them to become a client?
So there's a couple of steps. The first thing I do is I have this form where an entrepreneur can go through and answer a few questions for me about their business. From that, I go through it and get a feel for the business because it's not just about are you right for the client, it's also about is it a right fit for you as an entrepreneur to take on the project and the work as well. So I go through it and make sure that it is also the right fit for me. And then from there, we jump on a consultant call, we chat it up about their business, how they got to the stage they're at, where their goals and ambitions for their businesses, and we start tracing out how we get there in that kind of first initial call. And then we draft up our project goals and timelines. I'll probably throw some stuff into Airtable so that it's organized in a succinct manner. And then from there, we talk based on how often they may need me. For most clients, I prefer to talk about when we're working on the project about weekly or bi-weekly. I don't like a lot of times go past and the client may not know where the scope of their work is going. So just keeping communications going, keeping them involved, a meeting with them to see if there should be any pivots in the kinds in terms of the work and just moving forward.
Got it. Very cool. I'm super curious. When you think of your vision and you think about where you want to take the company, let's say over the next 12 months, are there any specific revenue targets, any specific performance targets? Walk me through that.
So, yes, I'm currently in the process of trying to set up a program, Future Ecosystem Builders, is which I'm teaching youth how to gain the skills of ecosystem building and connect to different entrepreneur support organizations. So they're aware of those type of jobs and they're aware of ways to help entrepreneurs in their communities. I'm
Mhm.
really trying to rev that up. I'm hoping to have my first cohort of it launched in 2026 in the United States, but also in Sierra Leone. So I'm hoping to have at least 15 students in both cohorts. So I'm trying to leverage sponsorships for that. I have everything packaged and ready to go for the programs. I'm looking to try to get sponsorships. I have a number out there, but we'll see where we'll go in terms of that.
What do you feel like is the biggest challenge you're facing right now as a business owner?
I would say the biggest challenge that I'm facing right now is when you're a business owner, you wear lots of hats. I am the CEO. I'm also in charge of operations. So I'm the CEO as well. I'm in charge of finances. I'm in charge of marketing. And one thing is, I would say I used to really love marketing and social media when I was doing it as a person, but over the years doing social media for so long, marketing has become one of the things in the business that it's just, I don't even want to deal with it. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to make a Canva post again. I don't want to get on LinkedIn right now. So, really finding the energy to remember that marketing is part of how people see you and how people acknowledge that your business is existing, and remembering I could be doing all this great work behind the scenes, and if I'm not doing the work to put it out there, it's not really going to matter. So getting out of my head about wearing all the hats and remembering that I just have to divvy up the work and do it at a good pace.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. I heard this quote the other day where it was saying when you're starting off in business, 80% of the business is sales and marketing, and 20% is the actual client fulfillment. A lot of it is just getting in front of the right people to get more people to know who you are. And a lot of people hold themselves back with that, with mindset things, limiting beliefs and whatnot. But once we realize that, hey, the majority of it is sales and marketing, it's very important to spend time in revenue generating activities every single day. But I'm curious if you could go back in time and you could give yourself a piece of advice when you were first starting the business that you wish you knew, but you didn't know at the time. You know it now, but you didn't know it back then. What would that advice be?
The only advice I would think I would have for myself, because I feel like I'm constantly pivoting, I'm constantly implementing change. So it's no things that I'm like, ooh, I would deeply change. But just looking at my business, I want to serve minority businesses. So maybe eventually changing some of the language away from just being Black founders and just the diaspora to maybe including some other minorities, and really making sure that I'm helping all disenfranchised communities reach their goals as business owners and executive directors.
Fair enough. What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Best way for people to reach out to me would be LinkedIn. They can find my business on LinkedIn, Breaking the Ice on LinkedIn, or me at Isha Kamara on LinkedIn. So they can find me either ways, or they can find me on email. I'm pretty responsive in both ways.
Awesome. And Aisha, any last words that you want to leave us off with?
In terms of last words, I would just tell founders, get out there. Starting a business is really hard, but it's a really a day by day thing. You have to take the risk, and part of the risk is deciding on an idea and putting faith in yourself to go out and do the work. Just continue to be cool and confident in yourself, and know that you are making impact on your community, and that people are watching and people are impressed by what you're doing.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for yours.
So that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you're a business owner and you're looking to scale your company and you're really looking to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.